Hey everyone, Tom Quee here from Battle Rap Resume, back with yet another edition of my most disliked series. I should say that this one is about 2 years old, but the original was like a lot of the battles we're going to look at today, damn near unlistenable. So I cleaned up the audio, edited down, and figured it was worth a reload, especially with the Grind Time one getting such a good reaction. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already on the channel. And what better league to celebrate too and to scrutinise the mediocrity of than King of the Dot? If you're not familiar with the series, I use this website to find the most awfully intriguing, mind-bendingly terrible uploads that the channel has to offer, and chime in occasionally with some piffy, lispy Britishness whenever I can. If you dig the episode, be sure to subscribe to Ruin Your Day, as well as my own channel, BRR. We also have merch as well. Nothing as cool as socks mine, but merch nonetheless. Anyway, enough hawking. Let's get to some hilariously abysmal battle rap.
Number 10, Merge One versus GQ Styles. Battle being part of a on-beat tournament, KOTD were associated with this being called Proud to Be at Battle MC. We have GQ Styles versus Merge One. This is a pretty forgettable battle on all accounts. I mean, you know, they ride the beat okay. It's not unlistenable on a sort of technical level, but lyrically there is nothing here. Barren, cliched, and you know, having to Don't Flop too, when you have these kind of freestyle tournaments, you can get anyone in. And that's the problem, you know, Merge One and GQ Styles are just different types of awful, really. And the one thing I find interesting is you can learn a good lesson about rebuttals in this battle. And let's just see what happens here and see if you can spot the problem.
Got so much insanity, you beating me, I'm cocky. So much vanity, this ain't hockey, ain't stopping me. Call me your packy, he's mad, I got 20 rims on my taxi. Yeah! Faggot.
Yeah! This motherfucker said that I called him a packy. He would have got his parents to drive him here, but he couldn't afford a taxi.
Here's the ever-wise Nameless to wrap us up.
Merge One went for like a rebuttal in the second round, and you know, that's rebuttal 101. You can't use the exact same rhyme scheme that the MC whose rhyme you're rebuttaling used, so, you know.
Yeah. Number 9. Chance One responds to Chuggo of the Montreal Division. Right, here we go. This is deep into the October 2009 back catalogue of King of the Dot, so way back. So apologies if I get any of my facts wrong here, but I'm still trying to work out exactly what goes on in this video. Basically, the video is just this. It is Chance One, who I can't find on King of the Dot, actually battling, bigging up an upcoming battle with Chuggo.
Chance One, the motherfucking headliner. How many people want to come and see Chuggo get his food ate? Put your money where your mouth is. You got 2 cents to rub together, buy yourself a pen and a pad and write some bars.
So yeah, this big punner-like is terrible. He has no trash talk. It's filmed awfully. And weirdly, the mystery deepens. This video was originally uploaded on what seems to be Lo Pesci's old channel. That being Peshford Tubes. And I guess if they wanted to promote it more, they put it onto the King of the Dot channel and thought no one would find out. But it ended up being one of the most disliked video in their entire history. And it's just because it's so lame. Like, it's just really uninteresting on his part. And oddly edited too. It's a 2-minute video. The first minute is this. It's you know, you got Chance One here sort of bitching about Chuggo, and then this, the last minute, is just kind of ads upon ads upon ads, the occasional photo of Chance One as well, and then more ads. Number 8, Caliente versus Warbucks. Pretty mediocre writing-wise, but fairly interesting in terms of the momentum of the battle kind of thing. This was from the Vancouver division of King of the Dot, released New Year's Day 2011. This is Warbucks facing off against Caliente, someone who was quite seasoned at this point, facing Poe Rich, Lo Pesci, and even Holohan. Emaciated Jonai, Warbucks kicks us off and gets a few bars in, and then suffers a real round-ending choke.
1 second here. Hot is one thing that you not. I'm sorry. I'm just. Hot is one thing that you not, and apparently I'm not right now at the moment. Look. I can't even finish this.
All right, time. Oh. Caliente.
And despite that, Caliente comes with a really quite competent round, I have to say, as he kicks off. Lots of good writing here, lots of good energy. You know, he shows the opponents he's been against and the lessons he's learned.
I'm inflammable, a fucking animal when I'm in heat. You fucking dweeb, dork, geek, pimp, squeak, turn into mincemeat. He thinks sword fighting with his boy just make the ends meet.
If you just saw those 2 rounds and had to guess a winner, I mean, you'd obviously go with Caliente there, especially because even though he doesn't choke in his second round, Warbucks' best thing is probably his Dickensian impression.
Please, sir, can I have some more?
No.
despite that, Caliente chokes hard in the second, and Organic offers some immortal advice.
Hey, yo! Fuck, man.
But obviously Caliente wins anyway, because Warbucks is awful. I mean, again, his third, he just kind of kicks it off with some, not bad animal comparisons. The first line gets a laugh. The second line is just kind of weird.
When they told me he was from Buffalo, I thought that was a description of his parents. Or maybe he's half shark.
Half shark. Anyway, Warbucks closes out with some douchiness.
Next time one of my tracks leaks, I'm gonna make sure that shit is street enough for y'all to play at Fat Beats. I'm out.
But yeah, in the end, Caliente wins, and I really can't recommend this clash. Unfortunately, the writing is kind of bland from both, even without the chokes. I should say that Warbucks suffers quite a bad choke in the third as well, and it's just kind of a mismatch, just kind of a boring battle. The crowd are, understandably quite uninvigorated by the whole thing. So yeah, just to wrap us up, here's Warbucks, who never came back. He was just one of those people that, came on King of the Dot for one time, went again, and he's just sending out a message to those haters.
Good luck to everyone looking out for me. I know y'all wanted to see me lose anyway, so y'all got what you want. I always like to give back to the fans, so everybody should be happy after this.
Number 7. Daylight versus Real Deal. So yeah, this is quite a notorious battle that splits a lot of people, but the first thing I want to focus on is the visuals to this event by Avocado and his team are fucking terrific. I love the duel in this. I love the song as well. I just love how different it is to traditional battle events. And, in many ways, this was a very different event. The way you had the circular stage, the way you had the sort of crowd sitting all around people, and just the sort of the dark way that it was filmed. I loved it. It looked great. Like, I'm thinking of like Averb versus Danny Myers. What other battles were great there? Arsenal Rum Nitty, Ilmax Rounds versus Clips. There was some great shit here. But excuse the pun, there was some terrible shit here as well. And this is definitely one of those battles. This is obviously Daylight versus Real Deal. This is when Daylight was in his full kind of, antic phase. He seems to have slightly left that now, but I'm personally still dubious of his writing. I know it's going to cast me out as a pariah in some circles of battle rap, but yeah, I just don't really enjoy it, to be honest. I never really have. Even when he's on form, even when in the third round, like in the third round against Pat Stay, kind of dishevels the antic for a bit and shows you can bar before closing off with something ridiculous. And there's Pat Stay as well. It's called to Pat Stay out in the US for a King of the Dot event. I believe this was before the Massacre debut against Caliente. And as we get into it, Organic doesn't know even how to begin.
On the right, we got Real Deal, and coming out, I guess we got Daylight, so.
Real Deal. Real Deal.
You gotta love those turntable name scratches too. I mean, that was another thing that kind of marked this event out as a bit different. But yeah, Daylight, as you probably know, comes out kind of crowded in a cloak here. It's not really clear what's going on, but obviously there's many layers to this antic. Daylight then goes into a slightly ghoulish laugh, and after loads of kind of, misfires and stop-starts, the round starts, and, it's typical kind of antic mode Daylight. So, it's quite quiet, it's quite basic, almost, cringy wordplay at times, just focusing on the same word constantly. There's loads of body wordplay in the start, and the crowd don't really know how to react because, this isn't a typical verse in any way. Like, Day begins talking about, people playing Deal or No Deal, and, gets a pack of cards out and actually goes out and starts dishing them out. There's a little booing here and there, but there's not much dissent. People are still intrigued at this point rather than horrified. King of the Dot knew what was going to happen. Arizona knew. Real Deal knew. There's no cuts to Real Deal here. It would have been interesting to see his own reaction. But yeah, Daylight sort of continues with his hooded justice kind of stick. And eventually he comes back to the idea of the cards and he starts to ask, who has the Joker card?
You! Stand, please. Stand, please.
What a crazy kind of moment, to be fair. Has any other battle rapper got someone out from the crowd? Like,
my question for you is... what do you want to hear? Bars or antics?
Daylight asks the question we're all thinking and gives the answer we all know.
Do y'all really
Trevor, though, for not giving a fuck, really. He just barrels on with his own round and, you know, talks about the idea of antics at the beginning, which gets a good reaction, and then says that he's kind of not going to go for his typical angle approach. You know, he's going to be more bars heavy in this one, and, you know, it's hit and it's miss.
You wind me up, I get the metal banging like a cymbal clashing monkey.
And then into Day's second, where at least he gets closer to Real Deal, but the second's a lot like the first, you know, but a bit more uneventful. There's no crowd reactions. There's none of the stuff that will puncture at the end of this battle. There's some not bad, you know, wordplay and deal flips and stuff like that, but it's just, I don't know, there's lots of pauses as well, and there's lots of kind of like getting angry with, you know, the bystanders, and it's not very fun to watch at the end of the day, and that's what battling about. It's not exciting on a writing level. It's not stimulating. It's just a sort of carnival freak show thing, and, you know, that brings us to the third.
They said Real Deal was gonna take my head off. They say Real Deal was gonna take my head off. Well, I'm gonna do it first.
Do you get it? Take my head off. Like, you know, it's just crazy. The crip in the box thing, this, like, the actual sort of wordplay, pun, reasoning behind these things just is never that compelling for me personally. I don't mean to be cynical, and I know at the end of the day you can have a guy with a headless horseman kind of suit on a battle rope stage, and that's fine. Like, yeah, I get it, it's daylight, whatever. But I don't know, it just personally doesn't do stuff for me. And, you know, if there were some reasoning to why this is so disliked, you know, this is a hugely hated video, or people really don't like what this stands for, and I can completely understand that. It is stuff like this, you know, the disrespect shown to Real Deal as well as King of the Dot. But like I said prior, I guess we knew what we were getting here, and the headless part is but the beginning.
If I hear 2 more boos, I am going to take a boo-boo on the stage.
So yeah, Daylight came on stage in a cloak in the third round, takes cloak off to reveal that, you know, there's no head there, and then encourages the crowd to boo him so he can do a boo-boo. But I mean, look at this, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous what this guy does. And it is kind of, you know, I can see how it's quite illegal, you know, it could offend a lot of people. It's quite dangerous on his part. But yeah, closes out a very weird battle, very disliked battle. Shout out to Real Deal for keeping the composure, but Daylight, what the hell, man? Number 6, for Soros and Ilmac versus Poe Rich and Diaz. A controversial 2-on-2 title match that took place in the fairly early days of King of the Dot, being 2011. This is the ever-acclaimed Soros and Ilmac dual WRC winning versus Poe Rich, who is now with Diaz after the venerated partnership with Kid Twist. And it wouldn't be early King of the Dot without the pre- and post-interviews, which I really like, actually. They both add a context for the archivists like myself, and, you know, they help to build hype, and Soros is never one to pull his punches, and he makes good of that here.
Both of you guys have the biggest undeserved sense of entitlement that I've ever seen out of 2 individuals that sit in front of a camera and talk about their battling. That shit annoys the fuck out of me.
Poe Rich is less cutting.
Going against the Doomsday Killer from Dexter and fucking Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones.
So we get into this huge battle, and one of the interesting things is the sort of intros form a microcosm of what the wider concerns of the battle and issues will be. We have effectively 2 people who aren't likable at all versus 2 people who are both very liked, very well respected. And yeah, through the way they introduce themselves, you can kind of see this, like, especially Poe Rich, like, just this kind of manner immediately makes you not want to side with him. Also, shout out these old school graphics on the King of the Dot. They still look great.
Poe Rich, dig deep in your rich.
You want to say it with me? Whitby is the city? Yeah, bitch. bitch. Let's go.
The one battler of the four that you might not be aware of is Diaz. I wasn't aware of him either, but that's to my shame, really, because he seems to be one of these guys that's been in King of the Dart since day dot, really working his way through up the Grand Prix with Poe Rich and stuff like that. And he came back in 2016 too. That doesn't stop him being really annoying, though. Obviously, Soros and Ilmac are absolute legends. Interesting to see Pete giving the first show of his album. All I know is that there. And yeah, they're both great in this battle. Maybe not the best they ever were, and that led to the controversial loss, which we're going to touch on. First round is really good. It's definitely characterized by the aggression that would become toxic at a later point in the atmosphere of the battle. But this opening round is strong. There's a nice conceit where Ilmac keeps interrupting for Soros. It leads for some pretty interesting interactions.
Tell him it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Now we can handle this. Fuck that. He should be ashamed. Okay. Keep it. He's such a fiend of being inebriated. We can make this a drinking game where we tease him, make him scream in pain while we playing keep away with a 50 E in jail.
And after about a minute or so, Pete gets his chance and he jumps in on Poe Rich as well. Diaz is left for the vitriol of the later rounds. And yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's King of the Dart. It's in this era, so you got to drop a DNA disaster bar as Pete did. And pretty innocuous in the grander scheme of things, but not a bad round. And you can already see the bad sportsmanship from Diaz as they close it out.
If I put you in a coffin, his mom and pops would not miss him. So call Bishop. Because we're donating your body parts to autism.
And then Poe Rich and Diaz begin, and to be honest, they're just really bland. Like, there's a lot of aggression here, but most of it's misplaced, not very compelling, without the kind of wit and warmth and some version of Kid Twist. Poe Rich is quite brutish, and Diaz really don't vibe with this guy, to be honest with you. And you can see why what happens in the second round happens. I don't necessarily agree with it, but, the guy is a bit out there.
And y'all selling CDs for some easy bucks, but your beats ain't tough. Fuck your DJ cuts, and all I know is that green tape sucks.
Yeah, this isn't a jovial, laughing at each other's bars WRC throwback. This is a pretty unpleasant watch, and that's mostly to do with Poe Rich and Diaz and just the kind of friction that happens between these two teams. And I don't know whether it's a case of them seeing Soros and Ilmac as these giants and kind of overperforming to compensate. It's definitely what Poe Rich said in the Kid Twist interview they did after their WRC clash. Obviously, Poe Rich has faced these two before. It's Poe Rich 2 with some mega offensive stuff at the close of the first, which clearly pisses off Soros.
You said your father died? Well, I'm the guy who put out the... Nah, never mind. I'll drop that line when your daughter dies.
So the battle continues on, and it's not bad. There's a certain impetus, a certain catalyst from the negative energy that closed the first that lends a certain poison to what they're doing. But, people can't get angry forever and nothing to happen. So inevitably it does spill over. And I think this is what leads to a lot of the dislikes and obviously the decision that leads from it.
Whippy is a shithole. Your fucking gimmick isn't working. I've been dick deep in your bitch. I thought the chick was still a virgin. See, when he's sober, Rich is insecure and introverted. And when he sleeps up in
I didn't touch him.
shithole!
So yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? Essentially unprovoked and very un-Soros-like, but we all have lapses, so you can't really judge. But Ever the Showman 2, Soros delivers with the goods.
Look how every friend of yours has been converted to a bridge you're burning. You fit the mixture perfect. If he's Irish, get a Catholic minister to give a sermon. If he's German, I'm a Hindenburg him.
What? There are certain situations in battle rap that occur where you're like, he has to flip that. And if Soros pushes you in a battle, you have to flip that. And to be fair to Diaz, I've been giving him a lot of slack, but, you know, he does it well here. Wins the crowd over at the start of the round. It's irrefutable what he's doing. You know, the crowd really do rock with him. They seem to be siding more with him, whereas the comments seem to side more with Soros and Ilmac, because obviously they don't win. And I think a big contribution to them losing is this maneuver. It's, you know, very intelligent on his part, and it works a treat.
Yo, you getting over emotional. Start acting G. He gets physical. But come on, it's just a battle, Pete.
And And so it goes. Both their thirds come out clean, and it draws to that inevitable conclusion.
The winner of the $5,000 on one fucking vote is poor Richard.
I don't want to try and take victories away from people, but I think if anyone watches this battle, watched it then, watches it now, you know, you can see that Soros and Hill might just have more. And I don't know whether it is that push that kind of, you know, tipped the scales for them proverbially, but Lush One crashes and sums it up better than me.
No, fucking judgment, I don't give a fuck. It's Fresh Coast all damn day. These are my partners. They the two illest battle rappers of all fucking time. Fuck the dumb shit. You heard it right here first. Uno in your fucking Bronze South against the orthodontist himself. The Edge. My kid again. True.
And even in victory, you know, Poe Rich can't help but take shots at people, you know, people including one of the biggest names in the world.
Shout out to Drake for leaving once the Canadian team started battling, by the way. I'm never going to support you ever again.
Shout out to Drizzy, yo.
Fucking stay in a wheelchair.
Shit. Anyways, yo, Diaz and Poe Rich, King of the Dot. 2-on-2 chance, man. See you next year, motherfuckers.
Number 5. Blackout 6, Announcement 16. Pretty interesting that it's an announcement that actually cracks the top 10. This is for Blackout 6. Can you actually guess who this was for? Yeah. I'm not the biggest T-Rex fan, but I got to admit, King of the Dot did him dirty by including this bad bar.
Smoke moon rocks, 4/5 so big, it'll make the moon rock. Let off a few shots, send that nigga to the boondock.
Rex was meant to battle Caustic, but then Bishop Brigante battled Arsenal as well. That was a weird battle, but yeah, they were supposed to battle at this event, but I think T-Rex didn't show up for whatever reason. I'm not too sure, and they did it at the bunker. Not a bad battle there, but yeah, man, it just T-Rex wasn't showing out, and I think the fan vitriol there is completely deserved. Before Poe Rich versus GQ Styles. Remember GQ Styles for number 10? Well, he has the honour of featuring on the list twice. This is in the same tournament that he came from, the Proud to be Battle MC. This is the quarterfinals against Poe Rich, you know, famed Poe Rich. This is 2011. This is sort of post-WRC's Poe Rich, very much on the sort of, you know, spiral into slight obscurity. I appreciate he still battles, but, you know, he's not what he was. We can all admit that. And this battle plays testament to that. Two terrible verses by each of them. Nonsensical at times. I mean, Poe Rich is kind of the more natural MC, and he can handle himself, but, you know, he's not on that sort of Soros Illmat performance, King of the Dot or WRC. And GQ Styles, I mean, any steam that he had in, you know, the battle that we open with, the one against Merge 1, is absolutely depleted at this point. He just has, you know, just terrible. Obviously not written, just garbage, you know. A lot of the judges really go in on him on the end, including Nameless. But before we get to that, let's just have some random smatterings of shittiness from both of them.
Oh, yo, I don't fucking feel unless you're anesthetic. You sound pathetic. I beat you one time on Cycle's house, dog, and I wasn't even trying.
Shut the fuck up and start manning up. Check the shoes. And one. And you suck.
And just before we get to the judging on this quarterfinal, it's worth pointing out, you see that green strip on the right of the screen? Initially, I thought that was something wrong with my downloader or something, but it's on the original video. I don't really know what it is, but there you go. It's a very minor useless victory. There's a green strip. I've never really seen that on another video. I'm sure there's other corruptions further afield. And also another thing, Nameless, coming up in his judging decision, he mentions the crowd, basically, or people, the GQ Styles people kind of reacts to him heavy, and that kind of influenced him. He's quite harsh, you know, check this out, it's quite fun, but you can't actually hear that on the battle, so, you know, it's worth kind of keeping that in mind when he says it.
Hey, what up, it's Nameless. Yeah, I gave that round to Poe Rich as well. I thought he had some better bars there. But here's another fucking freestyle battle 101 tip there. You don't want to bring 4 or 5 of your friends that are really loud and drunk, because if they're the only ones cheering for your lines, it sounds really fucking bad. That shit's embarrassing. All right, yeah, there you go.
And to see us out, here's Organic's big brother with some real shit, I guess.
Obviously, I'm going with Poe Rich. The other GQ, I couldn't really understand him. And he said he wears Prada, and Prada's gay, so please.
Fuck you mean Prada's gay? Put your money where your mouth is.
Interesting concept, at least, in spite of being the third most disliked on the entirety of the King of the Dot channel. This is... Well, I'll let Blaze explain himself. Number 3. Blaze spaz on Miles Tones.
What up? It's Blaze. You know what I'm saying? Supposed to battle some cat named Miles Tones. What happened? Didn't show. Fucking flop. Sorry. Yeah. I figured it, you know what I'm saying? No one wanted to believe me, but whatever. Yo.
And then Blaze begins his verse on Miles' tone. Well, his 3 verses, taking breaths between. And, you know, his second verse starts with him sort of saying, you were really animated in that one. Obviously, no one was there. And there's just no atmosphere. It quickly warps from kind of quite a, you know, just do one round sort of thing, you know, just get some bars out there, get some footage on there. But I don't think there's any need to do the 3 rounds, especially when the 3 rounds are this bad. Maybe if they were better written, it'll be okay. But yeah, here's a taster, and it's just pretty long, really. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing ever, but I think the downvotes, I mean, this is 2010, this came out, crazy, April 2010. So long time ago, as you can tell. hiphopcanada.com, shout out kingler.com, no Twitters, no Facebooks here. This is old school. And I mean, shout out Blaze for doing it, I suppose, but it's not very enrapturing.
What was the matter? His boy Iceberg, but he got scared and went to jail on purpose. Is Ice in the bin? Sorry to hear that. Was Ice a nice friend? Well, I don't like him. That must suck to know he's getting fought by some white man screaming like a human transforming into a lichen.
Okay. Number 2. Manic versus Overbite. One of the things I must commend King of the Dot for, this battle and the other 2 battles in the top 3, are that all of them are from 2010. They're from the early days of the league. So therefore you can't sort of, you know, feel as bad. So DNA Troy Brown, for example, is number 1 most disliked battle on the Don't Flop channel. And that was released, you know, very, very recently. So I don't know, what does it suggest? Who knows? But yeah, nonetheless, this is an intro battle. This is introduced by some guy I've never seen before on the King of the Dot roster. This is Whatevsky. And this battle between Manic and Overby, or OVZ as he calls himself, is just a bit of a snore fest, to be honest with you. Very bland material. The crowd don't react much, and I don't blame them. Both of them just don't have any really shining moments, just lots of bad bars, lots of mediocrity. But hey, like I said, you know, it was early on in King of the Dot, and playing these battles in any league under the sea. Overby reminds me of like a horrible jock mutation of Pat Stay.
It's the titties and bras, he's an odd, living homage to Nicki Minaj. Step off, you pretentious fuck. Bit of luck in the future.
Just to even out the scales, Manic is terrible here too.
How many times does your face get broke? You look like the ugliest, gayest picture. The fact is, he has so many dicks in his mouth, it's annoying. Like all he says is Richard. See,
Overbite closes a horrible 3rd round, full of potholes and stumbles, and you know, Manic's counting there. You just saw him, how many jokes he's done. He's a great guy.
You fucking couldn't get with this guy. I'm the king of the city, you fucking little bitch. Die!
3 jokes.
I will be right back with judge's decision.
Common thing in the early days of battle rap, you know, happens in a lot of Don't Flop videos as well, is the lack of access to a private vote. So everyone's there, the audience are there, the battlers are there. It leads to some pretty awkward encounters at times. But because he doesn't stumble, you know, it has a few flips or whatever, Manic wins, and he tops it all off with a pretty douchey speech at the end, pretty self-congratulatory. Mate, this is the 2nd most disliked battle in the history of King of the Dot. So put your foot off the gas.
Straight up, everybody, I got a lot of respect for the footage you guys are putting out. I admit I slept on this division. I didn't know too much, but this division has really helped the Calgary hip-hop scene. I'm really impressed by the talent.
Number 1, Big C versus Leak Buster Cap. From one of King of the Dot's earliest tryout events, I believe this might even, you know, be one of the first. This is the first event of this day, the first day of this event anyway. This is Big C, as you can see here, from Sauga City, shout out Gully, going up against Leak Buster Cap, who unfortunately chokes both rounds, which I think this is what lands it at the number 1 spot, to be honest with you. It's not a great battle, but at least Big C gets his rounds out and he gets a reaction. And it is a try, and it is 2010, as we've said. And, you know, you can't really hold up the same kind of levels of quality now in the sort of modern era, but it's not bad. You know, it's kind of one of these ones you can watch through fingers, and it's under 5 minutes long, so it's pretty compact. But yeah, let's get into Big C first.
Treat you like E did Louie, and I'll be swinging the bat. You a bitch ass pussy, you don't hustle hard. Skinny little fuck, couldn't flex in a muscle car. Round 1, 21 gun salute ya. Boot ya, shoot ya, and show you a piece of your future. A big ass secret. Oh fuck it, I lost it. Check it out. This guy.
And so it goes, you know, the battle continues. Big C has a fairly mediocre verse. Leak Buster Cap suffers another choke and inevitably goes to the kid Big C. So yeah, those were the top 10 most disliked King of the Dot videos. We've gone through the whole thing. I just want to shout out sortbydislikes.com, where I got the list from. I also want to say, please check out these videos. This is my most disliked Don't Flop and most disliked Don't Flop demo battle. Very similar to this video, just going through those sort of channels. Also, we have the podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or whatever platform you're on. But yeah, and also support Canada's battle scene, of course. Please subscribe to King of the Dot. This is just on the end of the last battle. I thought I'd tack it on here as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening as well. I really enjoy doing these top 10s. The next one that I'm going to dig into is probably URL, and I think after that King of the Rolls. But there's plenty to get involved in as well. We could obviously do the GZs. We do even No Coast. I'm sure there's some I'm missing out as well. Training days and stuff like that. There's tons of stuff to get involved into, and these are great content to do. So please, if you enjoy, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think of this top 10. Which ones have you seen? Which ones are you gonna see? I appreciate most of these you probably wouldn't have known. I didn't know, bar sort of the Daylight and the Soros, some of the sort of more mainstream ones. There's a lot of mystery here for me as well. But thanks so much. This is Tom. This is Battle Rap Resume. I really appreciate you guys. Subscription numbers are great. People are really getting in contact and loving the show, and that's exactly what I want. The show does take a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, but as long as it's being received well, that's the greatest thing to me. So this is Tom signing out, and shout out to all the bad battles out there as well. You aren't going to get ignored anymore.